My hand slammed into Mary's ass as she leaned over the stove, stirring a full pot of vegetable soup, and splattered the stove with the boiling mush she considered her specialty, her fucking specialty that made me sick to my stomach. But I still got it every blessed week and managed to hate it over the 13 years of our dismal marriage. Okay, to be fair, I'm harsh, but not about our marriage. It's been dreary as hell since about age 4, but about her veggie soup. It was full of freshly grown root vegetables that she lovingly cultivated in her small patch of our 300-meter-long, expansive back garden, which I preferred to keep as an untouched course for practicing my golf game. Soup bored me almost as much as marriage did. Like our marriage, it was boring, dull, bland, mind-bogglingly boring, damn it. We led a comfortable life, money wasn't an issue, but completely devoid of any spark. Well, that's just me saying that. But it got a little more interesting lately when I discovered a few things. I was supposed to be kept in the dark like a mushroom picker, but gradually and randomly, a light glimmered in a dark corner where no light was supposed to penetrate. In response to my hard slap on her ass, Mary cried out, "Oh, damn it, Jim. Why did you do that? It's going to leave bruises. Why did you hit me?" "Oh, I don't know, Mary. Can you think of a single reason why a loving husband would spank his wife's ass?" And I walked away. She was stunned by both my answer and, I suppose, the fact that in 13 years I had never once hurt her. "You're going crazy, Jim. Please don't hit me like that again." I mewled, muttering, "We'll see." So why did I slap her ass? Well, partly for fun, because I knew something I wasn't supposed to know, but mostly to embarrass her, to throw her off her routine, just a little bit, just enough to bring a little disturbance to her boring, orderly life. An hour later, after seasoning the soup she placed in front of me to give it some flavor, I announced, "I'm going into town for a while. Do you need anything?" She didn't answer, which was surprising. It was as if I no longer existed. She seemed to be constantly distracted by something. Perhaps the dignity of my friend Morris, whom she met Tuesday and Thursday lunchtime. With Mary, everything happened as it happened, regularly, like clockwork, not a spark of spontaneity, everything in its place and everything in its place. So vegetable soup on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Morris on Tuesday and Thursday. Week after week, week after week, endless week. Of course, I resented her and Morris, arrogant bastards who thought they were pulling the wool over my eyes. My problem was deciding when to drop the bomb on them, on Mary, because I still continued to satisfy EE on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday nights, pretty much unchanged. What annoyed me the most was the fact that that weasel Morris was adding his swimmers twice a week. It pissed me off, especially since, as I found out, they never used condoms. She was on the pill and he had 2 kids. Morris, of course, was on a different sauce. I couldn't wait to follow through with the little bastard. And he was right. The surveillance video the private investigators had installed on me showed him to be a pathetic little thing who couldn't have been more than 5 inches tall on his best day. Why the fuck would she cheat on her with a lowly asshole like Morris? I wasn't huge either, but mine was a little bigger, the benchmark of male self-respect in cock wars. So Morris, who the hell was Morris? As sad as it is to admit, that little bastard was my best friend. Even now, I find it hard to call him anything else. Well, except try, you sneaky little shit. We grew up together, went to school and everything, worked together briefly, always lived close to each other, were golf buddies, used to play twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday. Like everything in my life, golf also had its own time and day, the same thing every week. The bonus for Morris was that neither day was Mary's sex day. Morris and I were best men at each other's weddings. He was married to a lovely lady named Elizabeth, Beth to all of us. She was one of the reasons I held back from dropping the bomb. She was an incredibly kind and sweet woman. If you can use the word nice towards someone without it implying boring and ordinary, Beth was the epitome of nice, the most kind-hearted and decent woman. There was nothing extra about her, kindness personified, and I was going to disrupt her perfect world soon. I truly hated the fact that Beth would be collateral damage in ruining the lives of two corrupt scumbags. Ever since I'd found out about Morris and Mary, I'd often fantasized about riding off into the sunset with Beth, but it only seemed like a fantasy. She had two children, just entering their teens, to take care of, and I had no idea if she would continue her relationship with Morris, but a clean break was a much more difficult prospect for their marriage. We were childless. Mary had issues with women that I could never understand, and I had just resigned myself to the fact that there would be no children in our future. So I headed into town. The first thing I did was walk into the bank. I was standing in line for the teller when I heard his voice, just before he gave me a pat on the shoulder. Thinking quickly, I raised my elbow, turning around, and hit Morris right on the nose. You could hear the satisfying crack just before I began my Oscar acceptance speech. "Oh shit, Morris, I'm so sorry. I was away from here thinking about Maris's ass, believe it or not, and you scared me. I'm sorry, man, but that looks disgusting. You got blood all over your shirt and that nose. Well, let's just say you may have won your last beauty contest, but now you got a Roman nose and it's all over your face. That's too bad, old man. Do you want me to try to set your nose? I've seen it done on TV." I wondered if I should try to hurt him again, but he waved me off and said he would go to the trauma center and get a professional to do the job. As he hurried out of the bank, I shouted after Morris, "See you on the first tee at 5:30. I had to smile obediently. I felt happier that night than I had in a long time. I had kicked Mary's ass hard enough to leave a bruise, which I was pretty sure of, and broken Morris' nose in one day, or should I say Wednesday, and I could feel the laziness kicking in. I thought about Mary's ass, thought about giving her a few hard blows before I realized what I was doing. All in all, it was the best day I've had in a while. A week later, as I pondered when I would get serious about cheating, I enjoyed the little victories that only I knew about. I particularly enjoyed pretending to slip on a wet shower tile in the men's locker room of the golf club, a week after Morris's unfortunate broken nose. Clumsily slipping on the wet tile had caused Morris to trip and fall head first onto a rather massive object, an expensive electric hand dryer, and damned if his nose wasn't bleeding again and his eyes weren't watering from the pain caused by the broken protrusion. "Jesus, Jim, you're getting clumsy. That hurts like hell." Quite satisfactory, I thought quietly, but looked worried. "Sorry, old boy. I'll try to be more careful." Monday evening, as I was stroking Mary's ass with a spoon and having sex with her, I grabbed her hair and yanked her back, another first time. She exploded with anger. "That hurts like hell. What the hell are you doing?" I saw it in a movie I watched over the weekend, and she loved it. She even said, "Hurt me, baby." I thought maybe the carefree ones liked that kind of thing. It was Wednesday, which meant I had a wife to attend to. Of course, it wasn't an official schedule, but with Mary everything was done on a routine, and she was the least spontaneous human being imaginable. I longed for something else, maybe someone else, someone to whom the words, "screw it, let's just do it and worry about it later," wouldn't be completely foreign. I was experiencing stiff boredom, save for the little games I played with these two. If the camera hidden in the smoke detector in my bedroom was to be believed, Morris was in yesterday at lunchtime. Apparently the little shit liked sleeping with my wife in my bed, so a little payback for the pain was the least I was counting on until it came time to destroy them. None of them ever said nasty things about me when they cheated on me. A small favor, I suppose. But if they had, my revenge would have been even greater, but no, if anything, they were respectful. And I know that sounds ridiculous. But obviously, none of them did it out of spite, none of them wanted to hurt me, and none of them wanted to vilify me. Indeed, the few times I was mentioned, it was, "What a good husband he is. What a wonderful friend he is." And then the classic question, "Why do we do this to our loved ones?" The last phrase was followed by a couple minutes of remorseful looks, after which they proceeded to have 6 minutes of what appeared to be very weak sex. After which Morris got dressed and left Mary to shower, clean the room, and throw the sheets in the wash. I was alarmed to see that there was more than just the usual change of underwear on our bed. I was born at night, but damn it, it wasn't last night. Mary, like most women, was obsessed with cleanliness, but she didn't create work for pleasure. During that Tuesday session, Mary and Morris were talking about me. Morris: Jim has turned up his nose at me twice this week already. Mary: And in the last 10 days, he slapped my ass, leaving a bruise, and last night, he pulled my hair hard when he had a chance to sleep. It may have begun to dawn on them that these were small victories, but this was a war in which I was going to destroy them. I was struggling to think of what else I could do to inflict physical pain without making it too obvious, so it was time to end this farce. I had to regret hurting Beth. I cared for her beyond belief, but I saw no other option. I decided it was better to warn her beforehand, to bring her up to speed, than to experience the shock and awe of simply taking out two crooks and catching her in the middle of an explosion. We often stopped by each other's houses unannounced, and I had several times driven by in the morning, closer to lunchtime, when I knew I would have another meeting at my house. That was one of the advantages of a woman who was completely predictable, as my Mary had become over the years. I saw Beth's car. I knew the kids were already in school, so it was time to shatter her world. She opened the door. "Hi, Jim, what a nice surprise. Morris isn't home, but—" "Beth, I came specifically to see you. I know where Morris is," I said confidently, but with some regret. "Beth, I need us to sit and talk for a while. I'm afraid this isn't good news." We sat down, and I told Beth how I had gotten my suspicions and ended up bringing in a private investigator, and that I was sorry, but there was no doubt. Our spouses are cheating on us. I have video evidence. It happens twice a week in my bed. "Beth, they're already there. You can put a clock on them. They're so regular. We can watch them on my phone if you need proof to sort it out." "I'm sorry, Beth. I've known about this for 3 months. Beth wondered. "Really? We can watch what they do?" "Right now? Turn it on. I want to see how bad it is." We started watching. It was unusual. Both crooks looked hardly more upset than us watching them. The sound was clear. "Mary, why do we keep doing this? We're not young love's dream, are we? I know I'm small, and I know you almost always, if not always, fake bouts of passion. What the hell are we doing? We're risking destroying our happy marriages for, pardon the expression, unsatisfying sex. I think we should stop this. What do you say?" "Morris, honestly, you've never turned me on. Jim and I have sex 4 times a week, each time on the same night, in the same positions, often satisfactory but not very arousing. I'm a woman of routine. I guess it's up to me. I guess we started this and I thought it would be different, more exciting, but, Morris, I'm sorry, but sex with you is not as good as sex with Jim. Yeah, let's end this stupid affair and hope Jim and Beth never find out." Beth and I looked at each other. She looked on the verge of tears before I opened the channel, now suddenly bursting into guttural laughter. "You know what, Jim? I got 2 things out of this. 1, they're not even enjoying it. They both seem to be bored and doing it out of habit. 2nd, she says you're bigger and better than Morris. Maybe I should try you as a rematch." "Seriously, Jim, it's not that I'm not serious about trying you, but what are we going to do? I've got 2 kids to think about, and I'm not sure divorce is the best thing for me if they put a stop to it. Of course, if you're crazy about them, I may not have a choice, but what are you thinking?" "Beth, when I arrived, I didn't expect to hear what they both said today. I thought they were quietly and smugly discussing their affair. I was 100% set on divorcing them and tearing them both apart. Now, I guess I need to rethink the situation a bit. I suppose the odds are I'll still divorce her, but for you, maybe if it helps your future, I can make it not as impressive as I planned. Would that be okay with you? Let's think about it for a few days, Jim, and let's also think about spending time together. I seriously think it's the least we're entitled to. Besides, I've seen the way you look at me when you think I'm not. And let's just say I'm flattered and I'm curious, too. If they cheat on us, it won't make us better than them, but maybe we'll both feel a little better. Maybe if you decide to stay with Mary, We can let them know we're having sex and rub their faces for a while to even things out. Think about it, Jim. I agree. If you agree, if you're as nice as Mary says you are, it could be great for me. I've never been with anyone but Morris, and everyone thinks I'm such a good girl. But good girls can have fun, too. I smiled at her and told her I would think about it and get back to her by the weekend. The thought of sleeping with Beth was appealing on a physical level, and besides, it would be great to tell Morris about it. And then a thought occurred to me. Let's see how Mary handles this. That evening when I got home from work, Mary was sitting at her desk reading a magazine, probably some nonsense about how to keep a diary, or how to get at least a spark of life out of a marriage, both of which would be to her liking. She muttered a brief greeting, and I came up behind her and demanded, "Open your mouth, doing my thing." Eventually, she broke free and screamed, "Jim, what the hell has gotten into you lately? What are you letting yourself do? You know I don't like it." And there it was, just as I expected, the perfect opening. No, not her mouth, but what she said. "Oh, really? I said you had no problem doing that for Morris last Thursday. You seemed to like it a lot, didn't you?" She looked at me. Her face was the epitome of complete and utter shock and devastation. Tears began to flow. Her face contorted into an ugly mask of resignation that her secret was no longer a secret. She exhaled a strangled, "I'm sorry." "Why, Mary? Tell me why." "Jim, honestly, I've been asking myself that question since it started a few months ago. It's not even good sex. I have no idea why I just let it happen. Like it was something to mark in my diary. He's a terrible partner. The sheer depravity of the mystery turned me on at first, but the sex, well, he was hopeless. So why I kept doing it twice a week, I think a psychiatrist should tell me." "Do you love him, Mary?" She snorted and looked at me like I was crazy. "Of course not, Jim. You're crazy. I love you. I hope you can believe that, but it's true. My head is a mess. I can't explain anything." "Mary, tell me the truth. Are you going to keep seeing him?" I knew the answer, but I wanted to hear it from her. "Jim, I know this will seem like a convenient truth, but just today Morris and I were asking each other, why are we doing this? Why are we risking our happy marriages? Jim, I swear it's true. We decided to end it, and we didn't have sex today. It's over, and I'm glad. Whether you forgive me or not, I'm glad it's over." "Mary, I have good news and bad news for you. Which one do you want to get first?" She chose the good one. "The good news is that I believe every word you just said." She looked at me with amazement and a little hope. "I believe it because I have a camera in the smoke detector above my bed, and I sat and watched and listened to every word you two crooks said. Not only that, but I wasn't alone." She asked fearfully, "Who else was watching, Jim?" "It was Beth, Mary. I went to tell her I was going to set both of our marriages on fire. Told her that you and Morris were probably doing it right now, and that I had a live feed if she wanted to see and hear it. Then we both listened to you and Morris talk about how stupid you were, how bad the sex was, and how you were going to stop. So yes, Mary, I believe every word you just said. What you said can make a difference. I was set on divorce. But let's talk and see where we go as a couple. It's hard because Beth seems to want to reconcile over their kids, and I sympathize with her. To Beth, Mary, not to you." "And the bad news, Jim?" "The bad news, Mary, is that we don't have a very good marriage, and cheating has nothing to do with it. Mary, I may be ready to hurt you now more than ever, but I don't want to be too unkind. Listen carefully. Mary, our life has become boring. You've become boring. I must be boring as hell. Everything you do is predictable. The same thing week after week after week after week after endless bloody week. Mary, we don't have kids. We could be spontaneous. We could have wild and interesting lives. But we sit here week after week, bored with each other. The only saving grace is that you haven't lost your appetite for sex, although going elsewhere for it shouldn't have been part of our plans. Mary, I need to know many things. Do you want things to change? And just as importantly, do you think you can change yourself?" I think it comes down to this. Are you interested in keeping this marriage alive, or do you want to move on? Jim, I meant what I said. I do love you. I want to make you happy. I think I've known for a long time that I don't make you happy, and I can only blame myself. But I think the fact that I lost my way with you led to this stupid affair that neither Morris nor I really wanted. Jim, I know it sounds ridiculous, but being good friends, we got involved when things weren't going well at home for either of us. Don't get me wrong, I don't blame you, and he certainly doesn't blame Beth. Jim, I want our marriage to be something we can both cherish. Jim, I'm sure I'm in such a rut that I need help. Why don't we try counseling? Mary, I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm not sure I can overcome what you both have done, but before we try, we have to pay a price. You and Morris must agree to pay that price. If you agree, then you both agree to pay that price. The price is this. Beth and I will meet to sleep together twice within the same time frame as you two. 3 months, if I understand correctly. Can you live with that? If you can, I'll start counseling you as soon as you want, or you can go on your own, and I'll agree if the counselor finds it helpful to you. But Mary, if you can't live with it, or if you can't convince Morris to live with it, we'll divorce. I guess I have no choice, Jim. How can I object? Morris can't either, but I hope he doesn't act like a little jerk and screw it up. 2 months later, Beth and I had been having sex for 7 weeks. Morris was huffing and puffing. Beth threatened divorce if he didn't agree to go out with us, and after a week, he agreed. I liked dealing with Beth. She gave the impression of someone who was having a hell of a good time. We were on our 14th meeting and having a great time when Beth turned to me with a serious face and uttered the immortal words, "Jim, we need to talk." In the mouth of someone other than my wife, those words sound less threatening, but still, I wasn't sure I was going to like what followed, since we had 6 more weeks of sex planned. What was she thinking? "It's your account, Beth. What are you thinking?" "Jim, I like our sex together. You're much better at sex than I'm used to, and that's part of my problem. Jim, I think we've gotten too close to you. I've developed real feelings for you. If my life was like yours without kids, I'd just say screw them. Let's divorce and be together. I'd easily fall in love with you, Jim." "But you have kids, Beth. You're thinking about that, aren't you?" I said this, knowing what would follow next. "Jim, if it goes on like this for another 6 weeks, I don't think I can live in a marriage. Jim, Morris has betrayed us both, Mary too. But Morris is a really good father, and I feel obligated to do everything I can to save my marriage and raise my children with 2 parents. Could this be our last meeting?" I smiled sincerely and said, "Beth, you are a wonderful person, inside and out. I could fall head over heels in love with you, but you are right. You need to think about your children, and we need to save marriages. Let's meet tonight and let them know about it. Can you take care of the kids?" "Jim, I'm happy and sad. This is the best sex of my life, but I know we have to stop. I'm glad you're talking about saving your marriage. How are things going with Mary?" "She's going to counseling. We've already had a few sessions together. Things are going well so far, no guarantees, but I'm starting to see her as the woman I fell in love with. Maybe it will work out, maybe it won't. I'm not sure." One day it occurred to me that I spent 13 years on this. I could start over, and the same thing would happen to me with someone else. So no guarantees, but I loved her enough to marry her. I'm trying, but we have a lot of changes to make. She's trying too. Later that evening, we all gathered at their house, and Beth and I informed them that we felt we had avenged themselves enough for their betrayal, that since we truly valued our marriages, we were giving up the last 6 weeks of their punishment. Morris shook his head from side to side, expressing disbelief and relief. Mary shed a few small tears and murmured a thank you to both of us. She hugged Beth and told her that she was very sorry for her stupidity in ruining her friend's marriage and apologized. Beth quietly told her that she was forgiven, but she really needed forgiveness from me. Morris held out his hand to me, and I looked at him. wondering if I could find the strength to get over what he had done. I was tempted to break his nose again. Then I remembered the simple generosity of Beth's spirit and the good that came out of it, and I thought, damn, I've got to make an effort on myself. I took his hand and said, "Do you know that I intentionally broke your nose and bounced it off the hand dryer a week later? I eventually figured it out. I know I deserved it, buddy. Let's try to be friends again. I'm so sorry I lost the most important thing. Both myself and Mary. I'm sorry we messed up. It'll never happen again. I know you heard her say I'm the baddest guy in her life. I know it's just the two of us in this race, but I'm so far down in last place it hurts." He gave me a hint of a sheepish grin. I pulled him to me and said, "Morris, you know that once your nose is broken, it's easy to break it again. Don't tempt me ever again, Morris. Are you ready to play golf on Saturday?" He smiled broadly in relief. Beth had shown me the way. Forgiving people who cheat you isn't easy. But if she could do it so saintly, I could at least try to match her in generosity. But damn it, they both should have realized that you only get one second chance. It'll be a long time before I start trusting either of them again. In the meantime, Mary? Well, she was doing well in therapy, but I decided a long time ago that I didn't care about the reasons for cheating. We were past that. What was more important was whether we could make our marriage something more than the crap it had been for the last 9 of our 13 years of marriage. I didn't want her to just be faithful and get on with her life. I wanted her to get rid of her temper that made her boring, predictable like an atomic clock, and frankly, boring as hell. I wasn't sure if the boring woman who had taken over her body could be banished, but I was going to give her a chance. But she had to progress. I couldn't wait forever. I was already in my 30s, and if I was going to move on, it had to happen soon. She was making progress in bed, becoming more free. But after a few months, it was like her personality was stuck. No matter how hard I tried to bring something into her life that might interest her, encourage her to just go for it. Eventually, I realized I was fighting a losing battle. So about 6 months after the end of the affair, I said, "Mary, we need to talk." The thing is, we didn't need to talk. She understood right away, started crying, and said she understood. I forgave her for cheating on me. I just couldn't accept that she had become rigid and unfunny. We parted more amicably than most couples who have had an affair. I still went through with it. Without thinking long, I looked to see if there were any cracks in Beth and Morris's relationship, but she seemed to have forgiven him completely, and he was thanking his lucky stars. Apparently, it had gotten to him that she was too good for him. Morris and I still play golf together, and sometimes he still sees fit to apologize for me losing my marriage. It's gotten tiresome, and I've threatened to break his nose if he brings it up again. The truth is that Mary and I have grown up to be very different people, she more so than me. Every now and then I see her going out with some guy. He looks perfect for her, a bookish kid who seems prematurely ready for a life in a tube and slippers. With the odd sex 3 to 4 times a week, no doubt, and I'm sure he'd be a great husband for her if she drafted him. And I go on dates now and then where I can find a willing girl, but for the most part I'm pretty cautious about dating. There are 2 women I love in town. One I'm divorced from, the other is married to my best friend. And unlike him, I have no intention of running around with a married lady. But if he ever fucks up, I'm on Beth like a cheap hotel room. Life goes on, you bastards. It's hard sometimes, but what can you do? Get over it. It's all there is.